Hi, Tom from bknutrition.com, and today I want to talk about why eating clean all of the time is not the best strategy if you're looking to lose weight and maintain a good level of body fat for the long term. Now, I have this discussion with clients a lot, and I have this discussion with people who come for consultations a lot, and something that they have always done, always tried to do in the past is to eat clean. So they have maybe a shock on the scales, or they can't get into the bikini, or they can't get into their suit or shirt or whatever it is, or they see a family photo where they don't look their best, and all of a sudden it's like, right, I'm only going to eat clean from now on. It's this very much, I've got to do something about it. There's an urgency. I've got to do something now. And so they decide to do this eating clean. And I'm sure you've heard this. You might have even done it yourself, where you've only gone and eaten clean foods. And people's definition of clean foods is different. Some people only go for like lean meats. Some people only go for plant-based stuff. Some people cut out processed foods. So the definition of clean food or clean eating sort of differs from a range of people. But something that clean eating does have a message in is that I'm going to do this in order to lose weight. So there's this myth which people are saying that if you were eating clean all the time, then that will bring the results faster. And in this video, I just want to challenge that and say, actually, that's not the case, and that's not how I work with clients. And I'm going to tell you the reason why now. So there is a trade-off in what's called optimal versus achievable. Now, optimal, it will be this all or nothing thinking. You have to stick to this diet 100%. If you stick to this diet, then you'll get the results. That is the way that most diets are pushed through the internet. They'll give you a plan to stick to. They'll outlaw certain foods. They'll say you can't eat after a certain time. You have to do this much cardio, whatever. There's a very clear set of rules, or sometimes not so clear set of rules that you have to follow, and I call this the prison diet. It's designed to keep you within restrictions for a period of time in order to change your behavior, make you pay for your crimes against your body with food. So you get certain foods restricted. So that's the optimal diet. And then you've got the achievable diet, and the achievable tends to take in account the things that happen in your life, because life is never a black or white scenario. There's always things that go well, there's always things that go not so well. It's very difficult to stick to a diet all of the time because we just don't know what's going to happen in our life. Now, the problem with that is that the optimal diets, the diets where the gurus have put forward, you must eat this at a certain time, only these foods, buy my supplements that I sell and stuff like that. You know, you have to do it their way, or you're not going to get results. And actually, they use this to flip it on you. Excuse me. If you don't get the results you want on their diet, and you go to them and say, hold on, why haven't I lost all that weight like the people in your Instagram photos? And they go, did you do your 4 a.m. cardio every day? And you go, well, no, of course I didn't, because I was in bed at 4 a.m. Well, there you are, that's why. Did you only eat white foods? Well, no, I didn't, because I don't really like chicken a lot. Well, that's why then. They use it as an excuse. If you haven't done everything they've said to the T, that's why you've not been successful on their diet. But actually what they've done is made the diet so difficult that it's actually impossible for people to stick to it all of the time. And then this gives them a nice get out clause as to, you haven't done everything that I said, therefore you don't want it enough, therefore you didn't get the results you wanted. And the problem is, because you have done it for a little bit, you tried to stick to it for a little bit, and then you couldn't because of life and everything else got in the way. What happens is you did lose some weight, but then because you couldn't stick to it, you do what I call is a jailbreak. You bust out of the jail and go off and eat some food that you like, which isn't on the list. And then you realize, actually, I don't really like being on that diet. So you go back to what you were eating before. You still maybe try to eat within your limits, but because they didn't educate you and they didn't give you more knowledge on how to control your food properly and how to calculate your calories, that sort of thing, you actually end up gaining all the weight back again. So in your mind, what they're saying to you is actually the right thing to you. You think, well, actually, no, I didn't stick to the diet. I didn't do everything I said. That's why I gained weight. But actually, they set you up right from the beginning to fail. You lose some weight, so you think you're getting your money's worth. Then you gain the weight back again. They blame you. You blame yourself. And then you end up potentially going back to them in 6 to 8 months or whatever and saying, actually, let's have another go at this. I think I can do it this time. And then the cycle repeats and over again. And I call this in my book, it's a cycle. It's for confusion, prison, and frustration. So confusion, you don't know how to diet. Prison, you go into these prison diets where you're under restrictions and you don't really like it. You can't hack it for a long time. Then you come out of prison and you eat all the food that you like again, and you gain weight again, and you're frustrated because you've done all that work and you haven't got the results you want. So you've tried to stick to an optimal diet, something that someone's written down for you, rigid, there's no flexibility, you can't change it. But it does work in the short term, that's the problem. It does work for some people can stick to that sort of regime, but the problem is, because it is so restrictive, it impacts their social life, their family life, and they end up being very sad or very unhappy with the long-term results. Eventually, though, that diet does break pretty much everybody. I've never met anybody who's managed to stick to that sort of diet for a long period of time. So let's not try and be optimal, because that might actually set us up for failure. What about what's achievable? Now, what I encourage my clients is to aim for about 80% adherence to whatever plan we get for them. And I'm not going to go like a pitch for my own business or whatever, pitch what I do with clients. But basically what I do with clients is to say, well, here's the food you like, let's calculate your calories, get the food you like, and let's put all those foods into meals which fit your calories. That's basically what I do with clients. That's how to construct a diet. And actually, there's a video on my site you can look at. It's called How to Construct Your Optimal Diet for Fat Loss, something like that. 30-minute tutorial, free walkthrough. You can build your own diet using my video, absolutely free. Go and have a look at that if you want that walkthrough. But that's how I work with clients. But actually what it is the diet is not really the thing that gets the results, because anybody can write someone a diet. Anybody, any fool with a calculator and a food database like MyFitnessPal can write someone a diet. They just go, yeah, that amount of that fits your calories, go and eat that. That's not how coaching happens. That's how diet plans are written. That's not how coaching happens. Coaching is dealing with when things go to pot. Because if we could all follow a diet which is written for us, then we'd all be losing weight. We'd all be looking nice and trim and beach ready all the time. But we aren't. And why is that? Because our life gets in the way. And this is how coaching works. This is how, when I work with clients, that's the main thing. The diet plan writing for clients is a very, very small part of what I do. What is the main thing is that, right, when this happens, what are we going to do? When your kids are late home from school, you haven't got any food in the fridge, or it's late and you're tired and you want to take away, but you don't want to overeat, how do we deal with that? Now that is the achievable side of things, because we can stick to a diet more or less if it's foods we like and if it fits into our schedule. We can do that for the majority of the time. The problem is that when those life events happen, how do we then deal with this? So I tell my clients, don't try and be a perfectionist, because perfection can lead to stagnation. Because what happens is that you aim for, I've got to eat clean or whatever all the time. When you do it for say 2 or 3 days and you're really happy with yourself, then you have that one stumbling block. You immediately think, well, because I haven't done my diet 100%, I've now failed. And this is what happens to a lot of people. They do the diet for a week or whatever. They have a couple of days where it goes to pot, maybe on the weekend, that's quite common. And then they think, oh wow, what's the point of doing the diet? Because I've now gained weight on a Monday. And there's a video about this if you want to watch it on my thing. I've gained weight on the Monday. So what's the point of doing it? Because I've lost all the weight, now I've gained all that weight back again. In actual fact, the weight gain is not fat, it's something else. But that perception of they failed because they haven't stuck to the diet then gets them off the diet, out of the prison, and then into the binge and then restrict cycle again. So we don't want to aim for perfection. Perfection leads to stagnation. We dwell on the fact that we haven't done things 100%. And then what happens is all these other things happen, and then we start binging and we start overeating because we're annoyed with ourselves and we think, well, why should I stick on the diet? So don't aim for perfection. Always plan for if you're going to fail. Now I have a video on planning to fail on my YouTube. You can have a look at that. Basically, planning to fail is, right, we know that eventually something's going to happen which is going to cause us to go off plan. What are we going to do when that happens? We're going to have a coping mechanism. We're going to have something we're going to do to get us back on track. And this can be very powerful, because what happens when we go off diet and we haven't got a plan is that we don't know what to do, because we've been following this diet plan, we've been following this set of rules and regulations for a period of time, and then we go, oh, actually, now that thing's happened, I can't follow that for today because of whatever reason. So what am I going to do? Oh, I don't know, because my plan hasn't allowed for that. So I'll just go and eat loads of food. And that sounds stupid, but that is what happens, because if we don't have a plan to revert to, we essentially need a plan B or plan C or whatever. And I call that an if this then scenario. And there'll be things in your life which you know are regularly going to happen. They're going to impact on your diet. They're going to impact on how successful you're going to be. If you can recognize those things before you start any sort of body transformation plan, you go, right, well, I know that on a Wednesday, my kids are sometimes late home from school, and that means that I'm a bit more hungry, and then that means I might snack a bit. So if my kids are late home from school on a Wednesday, then I will have already put something in the fridge for me to snack on, which is low calorie. So that is a way of avoiding the overeating, by having a snack which is low calorie, which you've prepared already in the fridge. So we're not saying don't eat, we're not saying you can't be flexible ever. We're going to give you something else which is lower calorie to eat, to snack on, to get you through that period until you're eating your evening meal with your kids. That's just one example, and there's hundreds and hundreds of obviously different things. I'm not going to get into all of them now. But if you don't have an if this then scenario for when things are not optimal and you need to change it to be achievable, if you don't have that scenario, then you'll end up just failing and going off plan. So the other thing I want to talk about quickly, because I don't want these videos to go on for too long, is the element of what I call friction. And friction is all those things that get in your way of doing what you want to do and achieving the body you want. Now, again, friction is going to be different for different people. Things for me, which is friction, is potentially working long hours and then getting hungry and then snacking from the fridge. So you need to think about all the things that are causing you friction in your life, the things that are standing in your way, and you'll know what these are because you've tried to do a diet in the past and then you haven't done the diet, you haven't succeeded, otherwise you might not be watching this video. And then you need to think about, right, those things, when they come up, how can we then avoid them stopping us in our tracks? That's where the if this then scenario comes in. If you can recognize all the friction points in your life which are common, which are going to come up, and they're going to stop you and slow down your momentum in order to keep you motivated, then if you can recognize those things, then you'll have a better chance of preparing yourself for that. There's another video on friction you can watch on my YouTube channel. I won't go into it too much here, but friction is a real killer of diets. We always start the diet with massive amount of motivation. I'm going to eat clean for however long, no more cheat meals, no more snacks, whatever, only good food from now on. A week later, we're face deep in some donuts because the friction slowed down our momentum, it slowed down our speed, and everything we wanted to achieve, that's now a distant memory, and we're actually now just overeating because we're really stressed. So if you can identify the friction points and you can identify those things that are going to stand in your way, you'll have a lot better chance of having an achievable diet rather than trying to aim for optimal all the time, which is going to set you up for failure. So I never tell my clients always be 100%. We're always aiming for 80%. If we can hit 80% of our calorie intake, if you've created a decent enough deficit, you should have that little bit of wiggle room anyway to be able to go off plan a couple of times in the week and not for it to impact you too much. So aim for 80%, not for 100%. Don't get too downhearted if you do go off the rails. It happens to all of us. I'm a nutritionist. I know all these wonderful things about nutrition, all these behavioral things. I still go off plan every now and again. It doesn't bother me because I know it's going to happen. I think, okay, I've eaten some chocolate today. I'll just do a bit more cardio tomorrow, or I'll go for another walk tomorrow, or I'll restrict my food a little bit tomorrow to compensate. Or maybe I won't do anything because I was in a sufficient enough deficit, so it doesn't matter. Maybe I planned to have a little bit of extra chocolate that day and I planned it into my calories. So I don't worry about these things, and that's where I want you to get to, the point where you're not having to worry about food that you've eaten, which is maybe off plan, because you know that in the grand scheme of things, it's the average that matters, not what happens on one day. So I hope this video was helpful, gave you maybe some different ideas about different way of thinking about your diet. By all means, go and check out that video. I'll put it into the suggested videos, which will appear here, and you can go and watch that. It's a half-an-hour tutorial, so you need a pen and paper. But if you favourite it, you can come back to it and everything else. It goes over my calorie system, which is the system I use with clients and I cover in my book. But if you follow that and follow that way of getting your diet, you will actually end up with a diet which is absolutely perfect for your lifestyle. I'm not saying you're going to be optimal, but it will be something that you can actually adjust and be better for you, rather than trying to stick to one of these guru diets, which is just off the peg, cut all your nice food out and get shredded and then get fat again. Okay, so I hope that was helpful. I hope the video was helpful. If it was, please like, comment, share, whatever. All helps with the metrics. It's always nice to get a like and a comment. If it's helped you, please let me know, because I do like hearing about people who've used my videos and got positive results. It's all very nice to hear. So thanks very much, and I'll catch you on the next video.